take a look at all of these beautiful vegetables. They're all going to go into a hot pot. Celery, zucchini, yellow squash, red bell pepper, green bell pepper, carrots, tomatoes, cabbage, onion, a little bit of dill of cilantro, and roast chicken with the fat. What am I making? Well, did you figure out what I was fixing to fix? I'm going to be fixing some Caldo de Pollo. Yeah, chicken soup, Mexican style. Let's get this party started. I'm going to go ahead and put my chicken. It's already pre-cooked. It's roasted to get wonderful flavors. I've saved the fat out of it. They're chicken thighs, bone-in chicken thighs. So I'm going to put them into the pot, and I'll bring you back here in just a minute. I've got to prep all my vegetables. And, you know, who cares about seeing me chop? I'm slow, but I get it, and I've still got all my fingers. So we'll bring you back when the chicken's going into the pot and the vegetables are almost prepped. All right, I've got a big deep stock pot. I'm going to put it on high. I've got my chicken thighs that have already been roasted. I roasted them to give them great flavor. I'm going to cook them for just a minute without anything. You can see that little bit of wonderful flavor right there. That was left over when I roasted. Yeah, that's all going into the pot. I'm not wasting that at all. Alright, you can see I've got my chicken going over here. No water, but I'm fixing to add the water. And also, I'm putting it in using a pan that has the fat in it. Can you see that or not? Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Chicken fat rules. I've got some baby carrots. I've just got through washing them, and they're gonna be my sacrifice of vegetables. I've got them cut in little bitty small pieces. You can see this. I want them to cook down into almost a mush just to give flavor. Red bell pepper, chopped up in real small pieces. They're going into the pot. It's just starting to boil. It's got the carrots that I used for sacrificial vegetables, just to sacrifice for flavor in my chicken stock. Get all that goodness out of there. They had no fresh cilantro, so this will have to do for right now. I've never used this before, but it's fresh. It's not dried. So I'm going to put just a little bit of it in there, just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. I've got the zucchini. I'm going to cut the ends off of it. And my yellow squash, ends off of it. Yeah, better so you can see there. I'll just take the tip ends and clean those up in vegetables. That'll just go for the flavor. Just to flavor the stock. This is going to take about 2 hours to cook. By the time this gets through all cooking, these little pieces, you won't even know they're there, really. I've got some more characters that are going into this. I've got corn and potatoes. And one piece jumped off my knife there. It's boiling away. I'm gonna let it cook with the chicken bones and everything in it. Some of the meat will come off those bones. I'm leaving the bones in the chicken. It's already been cooked. It will add great flavor. And some of the meat will fall off. Excuse me. See, I might need this. I might be getting sick. Might need chicken soup. Anyway, let me get back with you when some of these other vegetables are prepped, and this is going to be cooked probably about 30 or 40 minutes before I add anything else. All right, I've got everything prepped. She's boiling away. It's been boiling for about 30 minutes. I've just turned it down to about medium high. Got some more veggies over here, some corn and some potatoes and some celery, all cleaned up, ready to rock and roll. All right, we've had this caldo about 45 minutes of cooking. If you're putting raw chicken in, you got to cook it until the chicken is cooked. You know, check the internal temperature, 170 degrees, it'll be fine. I boil this. I want to boil it to get the fat off of it. What's left and the skin will come loose, which is all flavor. And so I'm going to put in some of my harder vegetables, which, you know, is potatoes, and let them cook down for 15 or 20 minutes until they start getting soft. When you're doing this, don't worry if you need to add more water. Just add some water to it. And depends on what kind of vegetables you like. It don't matter on that either. Whatever you've got on hand that you like in chicken soup. This is like mom's chicken soup, except it's American style. I mean, a Mexican style. Sorry about that. I'll move away. So I'm going to put my carrots in because they take longer to cook. We've got zucchini, yellow squash left, some tomatoes. All right, the tomatoes are down in the bottom here. And of course, the red pepper, bell pepper, and onions. The next kids in the pool will be the onions, bell peppers, and red peppers. The tomatoes and zucchini will go towards the last, and then the last thing. I don't want the cabbage to be totally mush, but it'll go in. So we'll bring you back here in just a little bit. We'll get a picture of this caldo cooking. All right, I'm gonna add a couple of more items. I'm gonna add the corn. This has just been frozen. I've had it in water warming up. I just turned up the heat on the caldo because of the temperature is gonna go down when you're putting these half frozen corn in there. I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. There she is, boys and girls, simmering away. Well, I've got the corn in and everything simmering away. This recipe is courteous of my border brothers that I used to work with. Back in the 80s, I worked on a large ranch, about 20,000 acres, South Texas. I worked as a deer hunting guide, so I would go down in really June. We'd start putting up feeders and making sure the feeders we have are in good shape. Check on the deer blinds, shooting houses, or whatever you want to call them in your area. And the guys that I learned this from were the workers that lived and worked there year round, my border brothers. They taught me how to cook fajitas and scrambled eggs on top of a big old rock they had, or fry eggs on this rock, fry bacon. Anyway, they would start this. And usually it was on a Sunday morning they'd have caldo. Saturday night they would have a bunch of roasted chicken they had roasted on the fire, and the leftover pieces that were already cooked they put in the fridge to bring them out and make caldo the next day. Turn this camera up here a little better. So I'm going off the memory. I always remember them saying there ain't no right or wrong what kind of vegetable. You just need certain seasonings. I've got coriander that I put in. rosemary, and thyme leaves. Those really go good with this chicken. And of course, at the last, I will put a pretty good bit of cilantro. So anyway, they would, I'd be taking the hunters out, getting them set up first thing early in the morning. We tried to have them in the blind by 5 o'clock. They'd already had breakfast. They were ready to go, had their, turn this down a little bit, had their thermoses full of coffee. I'd get back to camp and eat breakfast with the workers. They were just getting up, getting stirred around 6 o'clock, and they'd go to work around 7. And you know, they worked on certain areas of the ranch. We're the hunters, were not, so they didn't want to interrupt them. But there was always something to do on the ranch. So they would put this caldo, and that's what they called it, caldo de pollo, chicken soup. And they'd get it started in the morning. They'd just get a big old pot of water and throw their cooked chicken parts, breast, wings, thighs, legs, everything in it that were already cooked. Bring it to a big boil. And they had a campfire that they cooked on 99% of the time. They had a stove, but most of the time they cooked outside. They'd get it rolling boil, put some coals off to the side, put this big old stainless steel pot they had, and it was big. It was about 7 gallons or something like that. It was huge. Then they had, after it rolled and boiled for about 30 minutes before they were leaving out going to the fields to work, they'd throw on all their vegetables at the same time, put their seasonings in. Now they actually did throw in some jalapeno peppers whole. It did not make it spicy. It just made it have a really good flavor. I'm not doing that. My wife will scream at me, and I want her to enjoy this chicken soup. Caldo de pollo. So, and I'm sure I'll get some mail saying that's not what it's called. So let me know how you say that. Anyway, we'd come back at lunchtime, bring the hunters back in, and then have this big old pot full of this vegetables and chicken. Oh my God, it's great. And they, like I said, they always left the skin on. They left the bones in. I've had it the other way, and it's okay if you boil boneless, skinless chicken. But I'm telling you, the skin and the bones give it a much better flavor. So try this if you've never, and if you ever made caldo. You can do it with fish or beef, or I love it made with fish. So let me know if you've ever made this, and where did you learn to make it at? I know it's all over. I don't know. I don't even know what the origin of the country is from that it came from. But there's one thing about it. It's good, and especially on an old cold day. It's really good. It warms your bones through. So anyway, I'll bring you back here in just a minute, and we'll start adding some other things. Probably about 15 or 20 minutes. As soon as these potatoes start getting soft, I'll add my other items. All right, I pulled out one of the larger pieces of potato, cut it with a knife, and it goes through it. It's almost like you would do mashed potatoes. So I'm going to turn my heat down. I'll put a lid on it. It's actually good. And almost all the rest of the kids are going to go into the pool here. All right. Let me grab a hot pad. Just lid off here. I said the total cook time of this is going to be probably about 2 hours. So, zucchini, oh, that pan's hot. Yellow squash, celery, tomatoes, all those kids in. Get the rest of it loaded down here. This is when I'm going to turn it down on really low, put the lid on it, and just let it simmer away. Let it build goodness. You layer in the flavors as you go. I tasted the broth a while ago. Boy, it's really good. So let me get this here for you. The last thing will go in will be the cabbage. And I probably won't put it in for 15 or 20 minutes or so. And then it'll really go and just barely simmer. I mean, just barely simmer down. So I will bring you back here in just a little bit. Before I put the lid on, the cabbage is not in. You can see the chicken is shredding itself. And I don't need to tell you, this is smelling really good. But I'm going to tell you anyway, it smells really good. I'm going to bring it up to a heavy boil, turn it off, and just simmer it. I'm going to simmer it probably for about an hour on low temperature. And then somewhere along the point, I will put the cabbage in. Here you are, boys and girls. And it smells wonderful. It's just been sitting here slow simmering along. Let me get this camera put down. Oh, dish me out a bowl. Get something small to, get these tongs here. I'll get my veggies. Looks like I shredded the chicken, but I didn't. It's shredded on its own. A sip of the broth earlier. I can't imagine how good this is going to taste. All right. Finish giving this a little something here. We'll put a little bit of sprinkle of chopped cilantro. And just some super thin slices of jalapeno. My wife is not a fan of the spicy, so I was afraid to put it in, afraid it would get too spicy, so I'll just put the spice on mine. And I'm not sure why she doesn't like spicy food. She likes me. I'm spicy. So anyway, let's try this, boys and girls. The chicken just fell off the bones. I noticed there was a piece of skin in there a while ago. You can see there is a little bit of the heck. It'll be hard to get everything in one bite here, but I'm gonna try. Here is carrot and yellow squash here. See here, this is hot. I got to be careful. I don't want to drip it all over myself. Like they say on the streets, this is stupid good. Oh my God. I've never made this before. I always wanted to, and I see my older brothers making it. And yeah, I understand. I don't even have a cold or anything. They say chicken soup will help cure anything, but if that's the case, I need to get a cold just to make some more. It's made about 2.5 to 3 gallons. That container is full. And just to let you know, so I'm going to have some to be putting away. Got a couple more slices of jalapeno. And I'll be freezing this. It'll freeze really good. I know that because we just have regular soup, and if we have something left over, I just freeze it. So anyway, this will be wonderful. And how do you eat the corn? How do you eat the corn on the cob? Well, that's simple enough. Just pick it up and eat it like you do regular corn on the cob. And it's hot, and I can't pick it up right now, so. Here's some bell pepper, there's some onion. Here's the guys out the back working on it with the chainsaw. Taking the tree limbs down. One more bite before I turn this video off. I need a Jethro spoon. This is definitely a winner. It does not have a lot of salt in it. I try to cook lowest salt as I can, just for my health reasons. If you need a little bit of salt once you get to the table, add some salt. No need to. My wife and I both don't eat a lot of salt, so anyway, this is really good stuff, and I appreciate you being here for me. And I sometimes amaze myself to think back that I can remember a recipe, and not really a recipe, I just remember what they did. But I can remember it clearly, like I was standing on the side of the pot that they were making it this morning. This is how I cook this. And anyway, it's great. Thank you for being here. From the old dude, please share, like, and comment on my videos, and please subscribe. The old dude is out of here to eat this bowl of soup.